across the world. So now I would like to introduce our second speaker. He's a well-known civil lawyer and a President's Counsel in Sri Lanka, and being the youngest to achieve the credential of President's Counsel at the age of 27. In the recent past, he has appeared in many landmark legal cases, including groundbreaking action brought against the President, His Excellency Gotabaya Rajapaksa. He defended him successfully at several lawsuits brought on by the opposition forces, including renunciation of the US citizenship. In 1997, he was appointed as the Sri Lankan Consul General in Jeddah, having been picked up by the legend Lakshman Kadragama. This speaker is also one of the founding members of the National Unity Forum in Sri Lanka, a forum of intellectuals striving to bring unity among all communities in Sri Lanka under the inclusive Sri Lanka theme. Today, he is going to talk to us about liberation of the motherland and its future and inclusive Sri Lanka for all. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Ali Sabry.
Thank you very much for that introduction and providing me an opportunity to express some of my views. This very historic occasion. Of course, we all know, as Professor Gunratna very correctly pointed out, it was a great achievement for the Sri Lanka in 2009 to defeat the LTTE and thus liberating the motherland and uniting the motherland after almost 30 years. If you look at very carefully, a lot of people contributed towards it. No one more than the heroic soldiers and the armed forces men, including my long-term friend, Mr. Admiral, Dr. Sarath Veerasekara. Now, if you really want to make that sacrifices meaningful, the whole idea is that we must create a Sri Lanka which is inclusive, which is prosperous, stable, and which is the envy of the world. I was always telling, it's our intention and the dream to see that none of the Sri Lankans should queue in the diplomatic course in Sri Lanka diplomatic mission to go to those countries or migrate that country. But we should see other countries trying to come to Sri Lanka. That's the day when Sri Lanka is going to be really prosperous and we can stand up. So in that sense, if you look back up to 2009, a lot of people have been contributing in different fields. The political leadership is unwavering. We had great soldiers even before, but at the right time, they couldn't take the right decision. The strategic leadership given by our current president and then the defense secretary was exemplary. The heroic soldiers did their part. The diplomatic efforts, both in regionally and internationally, and no one can forget the great Lakshman Kadragama, the one-man warrior, where he went all over the world and proscribed the LTT and provided a situation which is conducive for us to carry out our operations without a hindrance. And a lot of people from different parts of the world, including our housemates, working in the Middle East, sending their remittances, keeping our economy going. That's how we want. It's a collective effort, and for us to make it meaningful, I think we owe a duty back towards the country so that we don't stop there. If you carefully look back our history, it is unfortunate, but we ought to do that. It is almost 70 years since we have got our independence. But from time to time, some calamity comes and we have disunited. And as a result of which, we are not being able to achieve the great potential which our country has. And therefore, I think if you look at from 1958 riots to end of assassinating our prime minister, SWRD Bandaranaike, the first riots in 1971, the JVP uprising, the 78 riots, the 83, as Professor very correctly pointed out, was opened up our country and made LTT what it was. And then 87 to 89, we had the second uprising. So then we had this 30-year-old war. And since we have won that, and since then, unfortunately, we had that last year, the attack on the Easter Sunday day. So it's important that we must find, I don't know what is the reason. So there is a pattern. When Sri Lanka goes forward for 10 years, there is something which happens and will take us back for 10, 15 years. So we are still on the same page or same place. We cannot afford to do this. We all must understand, particularly as our Tamil sister very correctly pointed out, there was no war waged against the Tamils in this country. A war was waged against LTTE, and a terrorist organization, to in fact liberate the whole country, including the Tamils. We all know Tamils were the biggest victims of terrorism, including all the Sri Lankans, but Tamil felt the worst, because if you go in the morning, in the afternoon hours, in the daylight hours, the kids or their youngsters have been grilled by the army. Obviously, we didn't know from whom they are coming. In the night, those kids were forcefully recruited by the LTTE. Sometimes they lived in the forest, and untold hardships. At the moment they were liberated, the biggest the beneficiaries of the end of the war were also Tamils. We must understand that. It is their roads which are open. It is their infrastructure which are set up. It is their young children who were safe, together with the Muslims and the Tamils and the Sinhalese. So everybody benefited. Recently, I was talking to a Muslim group of people. I was just telling them, prior to the war, we just had 400,000 tourists coming to this country. But by 2018, unfortunately, prior to 21-4, we had almost 2 million tourists coming to the country. It was not only a particular segment of the country is benefiting, the whole country is benefiting, whether they are Sinhalese or Tamils or Muslims or everybody. So country doing well, good for all. Country is not doing well, not good for all. So we must understand that. That is the important thing. I think Sinhalese and the Buddhists need not to fear at this point in time. You can't ask for a better government who will look after Sinhalese and the Buddhists. President Rajapaksa is very open, very vocal. He is a practicing Buddhist, and he means what he says, together with Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. So it is time that we, using that, try to reach out to the minorities, winning the heart and minds of the Tamils in the north and east, and giving confidence to the Muslim community in the country that as long as there is law and order, as long as there is no extremism take place, as long as you don't go astray, there is no point for you to, there is nothing for you to fear. There is equality. So that is very, very important. One important thing, I think, as Sri Lankan, we must understand, we are a multicultural country. We are a multi-ethnic country. We are a multi-religious country. So different people think differently. Different people think, see different things. So for certain people, their religion is very important. So certain people, for their faith is important. For certain people, the country is important, the language is important, the culture is important. So it's important for us to cultivate this quality of empathy in Sinhala we call Sahakampaniya. That sometimes we try to get into the shoes of the other side also and try to think how it's going to help each other. So as Professor Gunaratna very correctly pointed out, if anywhere you want to fight terrorism or extremism, you got to win the hearts and mind of the community from which those extremists come. That is the first point of contact for you. That is how, once you win them over, they will have confidence of the system. The first call will come from you, of them saying that this guy is going out of the way. Please have a look at it. Just like, unfortunately, even about the Saharan, there are a lot of information correct me, Professor, if I'm wrong. So many information came from the Muslim community, from Katangudi, from the Sunat Jamaat area. But unfortunately, the government of the day just ignored it. In the Supreme Court, it was revealed 97 intelligence report came, they just ignored it. And therefore, it's important that now for us to make our victory in 2009 meaningful, we must transform that and use that platform to create national security. I'm sure with the president and the current team in national security is given highest priority. Then ethnic harmony, through that the development, with that we can actually aspire to achieve what so many others have achieved in different parts, where particularly like Singapore, Malaysia, and other countries, what they have achieved over a period of time. That is possible. It's important. It's also important that I feel we must invest heavily on education, so that we educate a lot of people. We educate people, we uplift the economy, but that economic benefit should go on to benefit the entirety of the communities in this country. That means the poorest segment of the country. Otherwise, just keeping them alone, if some richer becoming rich, will not help us. It's important that we see those hotspots are identified, and those areas where poverty prevails are identified, and we lay a safety net so nobody is left out of the growth. And the other most important thing I feel, there is a great some Colombo people, though they seems to think that they know a lot of things, but when you go to East and the North, when I recently I made a visit to East, most of the Muslims, when I talked to them, the biggest complaint they had was that our kids are getting into drugs. Please speak to the president and eliminate drugs and protect our future generation. This is a massive threat across the country. So if we can get the security in place, social harmony in place, development in place, I think we can achieve a lot of things which we have missed out over a period of time. But it's not going to be easy. There are challenges. We should be realistic internationally, regionally, domestically. There are people with vested agendas, try to create divisions among the people, try to divide our people, try to create a sense of insecurity among them, doubts among them. So we will not achieve the great prospect what we could achieve. And what we have achieved, we have failed to achieve for the last 70 years. So before I conclude, my important message is that we must unite as Sri Lankans. We must celebrate our differences, and we must work on that and see that rule of law is upheld at all corners. So there is also a unity among all of us. And one of the most important things, I subscribe and I endorse what Professor Rohan Gunratna said, that is, we must have a very careful monitoring of the cyberspace. That cyberspace has to be monitored. The hate speech should be curtailed or eliminated, and we must not create a conducive environment for people to breathe hate, and as a result of it, create those pockets who are unsatisfied, and as a result of it, you come out with terrorism. So I wish all of you for organizing this great event, and I sincerely hope Sri Lanka will not miss this opportunity under this great leadership of President Rajapaksa and the team supporting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sabry.